Hello friends, it's Ari, the Rusty Pilot, and I hope you watched my first video, which is kind of an introduction to me and my background and my experience in flying, and why I'm getting myself into this crazy mess again. But if you haven't, that's a great primer. You know, since I last flew in 2008, there's been a lot of even advancements in the internet since then, and so I've had a chance to do a lot of research over the last week or so. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is just how to pick a flight school. This is one of the questions that I see posted in a lot of chat rooms and a lot of user groups, and it's like, oh, how do I even know where to go? And I thought I'd give you my experience. When I chose my first flight school, which was called Wings Aloft, they operated out of Boeing Field, and there were a lot of really great things and there were a lot of really bad things. But number one was just location. I mean, like anything else, it was really easy to get to. I live in Seattle, and they were based at Boeing Field, and so it was an easy place to go and fly an airplane out of. If the airport's far away and the airplane's far away and the instructor is far away, that's one more hurdle to get over to get yourself in the air. Also, with Wings Aloft, the price was right. Their rental prices were a little bit lower because the airplanes that they flew were a little bit older, and the technology in those airplanes was not quite as current as it could have been at some of the other schools that were on the field at that time. And they also had a really huge selection of airplanes. I mean, I think when I joined that club, it was probably like 30 airplanes or something like that, for a club of, I don't know, maybe 500-600 people, and a bunch of those inactive, mostly inactive members. And so I never had a problem getting an airplane. And that was great. So it was easy to get to. The prices were right. The environment was great for learning. They had great flight instructors. And so now they've closed. So I couldn't go back to Wings Aloft. And so I had to find a new flight school. And so I looked at Boeing Field, and there's some stuff on the field now, but it's expensive, and they're flying different airplanes, and Wings, like I said, is not there anymore. And I could go down to Crest, and there's some one-off people, or I could go all the way up to Payne Field, but that's all really far away, and it's expensive in one way. It's either expensive because of time, or it's expensive because it's just a single person, and so they don't spread the economics around. In any case, so I was looking at Boeing Field, and then I stretched a little bit to Renton, and that's when I came across a couple different schools, and then to the internet I go. And so what are the things that I was balancing, right? Cost, of course, everybody is price conscious, and everybody's got a budget, and everybody wants to pay the lowest price possible for the most value possible. But I recognize that if I'm going to get in a brand new airplane with a lot of modern technology, and it's meticulously looked after every day in every way, then I'm probably going to pay a little bit more, and in some days that's okay with me. That's what I want. But I'm okay with finding a nice middle ground there, paying a little bit more for something decent. I also, again, because of the internet, was able to look at a lot of reviews. And reviews are a funny thing to me. It wasn't just the one guy that said this is the best flight school and this is the place you need to go. Period. Full stop. No. And it wasn't just the one guy that said this place is terrible and never spend $1 here. No. You take it all in, and you go to a lot of different sources, and you look at what everybody says, and okay, so maybe someone didn't have a great experience, but did the company respond to it? Did they say, I'm sorry you had such a bad experience, can we make it up to you? Or was there something that, maybe the guy was just having a bad day when, they were just popping off? I don't know. But there's no single review that's going to tell you if a flight school is the right thing for you. Of course, the equipment. Most of my time, like I said in my last video, most of my time is in Cessna 172s with steam gauges, not even glass panels. I do have some glass panel time, but most of my time is with steam gauge 172s. I'm talking like early 1980s. When they started making the 172s again in the late 1990s, they made a few that had steam gauges, and so I wanted to make sure, with the proper six-pack of flight instruments, and so I wanted to find an airplane that I was going to feel comfortable in, that looked and felt like what I have the most experience in. Because that's going to be a lower hurdle to get over, so I don't have to worry about learning a whole new airplane in my first tenth or 2/10 of an hour, I can get up there and just fly and have fun. I also wanted to find a place that had, not just one airplane, but a few to choose from. So either as my skills grew, or as the availability, as if I wanted to fly a different airplane, or maybe one airplane's checked out or it's on maintenance or whatever, is there another airplane available? Having a flight school that has a few different airplanes was really important to me. Maybe you live in an area that's not available to you, or maybe that's just not important to you. That's okay. But for me, I wanted to find a place that had decent reviews, had a nice mix of cost, had equipment that I was comfortable with, had a good selection of airplanes to choose from, and had a nice variety of instructors. Flight instructors are light. If they have CFI, if they're a current CFI certified flight instructor, then they can teach you the skills according to the FAA. They're all licensed to do that. That doesn't mean that you're going to get along, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to learn from their teaching style. And there should be some consistency to that stuff, but it doesn't always happen. And maybe you just can't learn from their style of teaching. And so if I get in the airplane with someone and turns out they have a teaching style that I don't really jive with, I don't want that to be a hurdle with me. So I wanted to find somewhere that had a nice selection of instructors so that I could maybe learn from someone else to make sure. And I also wanted to make sure that it was a flight school that was up to snuff with technology and was going to be okay. Either they have pilots and CFIs that are comfortable using iPads and other technology, personal electronic devices in the cockpit, which are licensed by the FAA now. You don't even need paper charts in the airplane. It's crazy. It's nuts how far things have come just in 8 years. But I wanted to make sure that the company was up to speed on all that, and that they could help me through that process as much as I'm comfortable, or even push me a little bit, because aviation is always changing. And so a flight school that was current with technology and willing to change and continue to develop and help me understand technology better. Those were all really important to me. And it's tough to say if one was more important than the other, but where I landed was a place called Rainier Aviation Services, and they are on Renton at Renton Airport, which is where Boeing does deliveries of the 737 airplane. And there's another facility out there, another school out there called ATC, Aviation Training Center, I believe, and they do a lot of interviews for commercial pilots and things like that. And they also have simulators, and so if you're doing your instrument stuff, they're a great place to do simulator training, so you can get hours just on things like holds and approaches on simulators, and that's really cool. They're easy enough to get to. Renton's a little bit further away from home than Boeing Field, but it's not totally out of the way. They have a good selection of modern and a little bit older and brand new airplanes. They have a good selection of instructors, and everything clicked. So I called them up and I said, hey, I'm a 210 total hour pilot that hasn't flown in 8 years. Can you help me? And it turns out the woman that answered the phone is a woman named Christy, and she had worked at Wings Aloft also. And that's when I felt like I had chosen the right place. But who knows? I haven't flown yet. That's coming up next week. So I hope this helps you choose a flight school if you're looking for one. Whether that means you're looking for your first flight school because you don't have any hours logged in a book, or if it's because you haven't flown in 20 years. That was my decision-making process, so I hope it helps you. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe, all the things if you can. I'm also going to be talking about some of those technology pieces and the things that I have found that are going to help me be a better, more efficient, not necessarily a better, but at least a more efficient and a more technologically current pilot when I'm in the air. And stay tuned for all of those.